You know that you can catch a cold or the flu from someone else, but it may surprise you to learn that divorce can also be contagious from couple to couple and neighborhood to neighborhood. It's true, the phenomenon called divorce contagion has been widely studied, and Sarah Davison, aka the divorce coach, joins us now with more. Welcome back. Always good to see you here.
Oh, it's great to be back. Thanks, Maggie.
This is crazy. Divorce contagion.
I know.
What is it?
Well, it's something that scientists have been researching for a really long time, actually. And it's basically when divorce spreads through a community. So when couples spend time together, it's also known as divorce clustering. So if you've got a friendship group or a community that you hang around with and it's your social circle, if one couple gets divorced, it really starts to hold a mirror up to the other couples in the group. And what we see is that that leads to an increased chance of divorce from the other couples.
So the why does it happen part is very intriguing. Is it simply because it holds a mirror up to you, as you said, and you start to look and nitpick at your relationship more?
Well, I think it gives you that opportunity to look at what divorce may lead to. I think a lot of times we think the grass is greener, and depending on what happens with that couple will very much determine if they go on to be happier, then other couples will look to see the grass is greener. In fact, I had a client recently and her husband's best friend had got divorced and he asked him to be his wingman on nights out. So all of a sudden he was going on single nights out with his best friend. And there were some issues in the relationship and he decided that he didn't want to work at them because actually he'd seen what it looked like. So yeah, it can be really tricky if one of your friends is going through that, and it can make you reflect and make big decisions.
When someone has a cold or a flu, you stay away from them because you don't want to catch it. If your friend gets divorced, how do you not catch it?
I know, but you see this with single parents at the school gates. I know a lot of single mums find it very difficult at the school gates because suddenly when they're single, they don't get invited to the dinner parties anymore, and they're very much ostracised because people are nervous because there's a single person around and that could put a threat for their marriage. So yeah, there are unfortunately quite a lot of repercussions of somebody in your community getting divorced.
And divorce as a whole, the rates are up, aren't they?
Yeah, divorce rates, it's an all-time boom at the moment. And actually the Daily Mail newspaper did a survey of 1,000 people who were 18 years and older, and they found out that 36% of them no longer felt that marriage was for life. That's a huge percentage. And actually, a lot of people think the gender stereotype would be that it's women that think that more than men that think that more than women. But actually, it was women that came out higher that thought that in the stats that they found.
Do you think that's because in the past and in previous generations, women were more prone to stay in the marriage even if they didn't feel the love anymore just because they felt trapped in it? They weren't as empowered as they are today.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a generational shift now. I think if you look back to our grandparents, a lot of them would have stayed married whether they were happy or unhappy. And the stats did reflect that 78% of couples would stay in a marriage even though they no longer desired their partner anymore. So there is still a large proportion that will do that, but I think there's a lot of people now that won't consider marriage. In fact, 44% said they wouldn't consider marriage. And actually, if you've seen your parents get divorced as well, I think that has a big impact as well. And 25% said that their parents got divorced and they wouldn't get married. Although 22% did say, look, actually, that's inspired me to do better in my marriage. So
yeah, I was thinking about, you know, the social media and there's much more information out there about toxic relationships. And it would make me sad to think that that's deterring people from marriage. It's serving a good purpose, but it's also maybe serving a bad purpose. Yeah,
I do think that toxic relationships now, though, the fact that we talk a lot more about them, and I'm the patron of a domestic abuse charity, so this is something that's very close to my heart as a survivor myself. So for me, I think that it's important we're talking about it, but again, it shows that you can get out of a marriage if it's not healthy. You don't have to stay in it, which is actually a good thing, because in the past, I think a lot of people would have stayed.
No, you're right. In fact, I remember 25 years ago, my good friend had a party on the 4th of July here in the States. You know, we celebrate American independence on that date, but she was celebrating her independence because she'd just gotten out of a toxic relationship. And so it's not about glorifying divorce as much as celebrating what comes after. Newfound freedom for a better life.
Yeah, in fact, this is my freedom ring.
Seriously?
Yeah, because what nobody ever told me was when you take your wedding ring off, it actually leaves a massive dent on your finger. Because I never took my wedding ring off. It was on. I was one of those people that kept it on the whole time, even in the shower, doing the washing up. So I took it off and I was just kept being drawn to it. And so many people say that to me on my Instagram, Sarah, you know, what do I do with my wedding ring? And I actually swapped it for a new ring, and I call it my freedom ring. And it's something else to focus on. Rather than the dent, I focus on the new moving forward. And so many people now have gone out and done the same thing.
I think that's a great note to end on, is that there is absolutely life after divorce.
You can 100% go on to be happier, stronger, and more confident if you deal with it and work through it. Absolutely.
And that's what you help people with primarily?
That's what we do. Yeah, we have online support groups and my podcast. So there's lots of help out there, as well as my book that helps people do that.
All right, Sarah. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.